Today I want to talk to you just about a few main points. So the liver sits under the right rib cage. So it is one of the most highly protected organs. The pancreas and the liver are quite deep because we can't survive without them. So if there's any liver issues, sometimes after eating or whatnot, a person can feel under their right side it's a bit tender, or they'll feel certain sensations, and that's often maybe that the liver is a little bit congested or stressed, or there's some information, some feedback that the body is giving us. We never want to judge what the body is doing because it's always just giving us feedback, and the feedback we can explore into. And that's really just part of a more loving way to kind of look at our body, is to not judge it, not to get mad at it, not to be like, oh, it's being really irritating and I just want to do whatever I can, take whatever pill I can to get it to go away. Well, it's giving us information, and it is our job to interpret the information correctly. So the liver resides under our right rib cage, and underneath that is the gallbladder, which in Chinese medicine, oftentimes the liver gallbladder is discussed together, but they do have different emotions. So for this point, I will talk mainly about the liver. So the liver is the deepest organ, and in the wild, that is often what mammals will, when they're hunting for their kill, they will often go for the liver because it is a storehouse of nutrients. So they can survive, I think, for days when they have liver or organ meat, because it is a storehouse of nutrients. For mammals like tigers, lions, it's not the plants that they survive off of, it is the organs, and liver being one of them that is the most nutrient dense. That's not really what we're going to talk about today, is the liver being a source of nutrients, but it is so vitally important. It is the powerhouse of our metabolism. It is the powerhouse of keeping our bloodstream and our cells clean. It doesn't store toxins, which is what a lot of people think. It actually is the source of whatever we eat and absorb through our skin, whatever we breathe through, is all filtered through the liver, and the liver doesn't store the toxins. Think of the liver more as detonating the toxins. So whatever flows through, whatever that we're eating, is detonated, and then we're able to process what's pure and clean for our bodies. The rest is excreted via urine and bowel movements. So the liver plays a pivotal role in, yes, filtration, but not just filtration. It is the biggest alchemist we have in our body. It can transform something that can be dangerous or like coal to gold, something that's dangerous in our body. So Donna's watching. Welcome, Donna. We're having a little chit chat about the liver and our emotions. So yes, the property of the liver is for transformation, and it doesn't host any toxins. So many people and many traditional cultures will encourage consuming organ meats such as liver, and a lot of people have in their mind that, why would I eat a liver when it's where all the toxins are? It's not. Even in our bodies, it's not where the toxins are. It is where the toxins are transformed to become safe for utilization or excretion. So that's really what the liver does. So the liver has a powerful role in our metabolism, powerful role in keeping us healthy and distilling what we need nutrient-wise and excreting the rest. It has a powerful role for our sleep. They say that the eyes are connected to the liver. So there's multiple eye issues like constant redness, constant heat, infections, dyes, things like that. Often there is perhaps something to look deeper into, rather than just the surface hygiene. Is a little deeper, could be a link to the liver. So the liver and the eyes are connected. That they often say that the liver is the eyes of the eyes are the what is it? The eyes are the opportunity to look into the soul. And I always love where these sayings come from. Oh, it's the eyes are the windows to the soul. There we go. I don't know why that was escaping me. They always say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. So where are these sayings come from? I always find that they're so random, but they have so much truth to it when you look at the historical kind of energetics and origins of it. So my take today for the emotions of the liver is housing, and the seat of the soul is the liver. So in Chinese medicine, after the baby is born, they say that the soul enters through the liver. And then when the person exits this life, the soul also exits, but through the crown of the head. So as the baby is born, I can't say timing, but I think it's called Hun, Hun, the energy of Hun, and that's the soul. And so that energy of the soul enters through the liver. So when you think about this saying that the eyes are the window to the soul, the function of the Hun during the daytime, so this is the energy of traditional Chinese medicine. So Rubina's just joining. Welcome, Rubina. During the daytime, the Hun, it is ascended to the eyes, so we can see in our waking day with the energy of the Hun and the soul. And then at night, the Hun energy descends, and it goes and is housed back in the liver, and it governs our sleep state and organizes our dreams. So to have the oscillating of the Hun, which is the soul, in our awake state is the eyes and what we see throughout the day, and our sleep state, it is housed and back into the organ of the liver. So when these sayings are like the eyes are the window to the soul, it is actually the truth when looking at this statement in traditional Chinese medicine. When you are seeing a person's eyes in the daytime, you are looking at their Hun, and you can tell, is there wounding of the soul? Is there pain? Is there joy? Is there a peacefulness? Is there a calmness? Is there, trauma from childhood? You can see sort of what is being represented through the face and the eyes. So that's what they're talking about, is the Hun. And so the liver is also, when we're on our soul path, and when we're here to lift the veils of all these contorted ways of living our life. So most of us live life with many masks. You know, we have to act a certain way at work, we have to act a certain way with our parents, we have to act a certain way with children, we have to act a certain way with friends, and this acting is not authentic. And I'm not talking about being respectful, I'm talking about actually acting, and that acting is put in place because that's how the child self figured out how to get love as a child. So in these certain masks, if a parent used to get irritated because there was mess at home, this child will learn perhaps that they need to always be super neat and tidy, otherwise they won't get love. So that is a mask that they adopted early on, because they think that they just being themselves, one day forgetting to clean, whatever it is, they will lose that love. So there has to be cleanliness in place in order to get love. And then as we grow as adults, that is carried forth, and that mask is carried forth in our day-to-day life. And the real root of all the actions of the mask is to get love, which means that the love is conditional. If I act a certain way, then I get love. It's not about just being who you are and you get love. So there's masks, and those masks are really what's affecting the soul, and they will affect the liver. If there's not a proper flow of our energy, a recognition of these masks, it can create issues of the liver, it can create constraint of the liver. It can create blood pressure issues. It can create blood sugar issues, metabolism issues, filtration issues. Anger is a big emotion of a constrained liver. So each emotion in the Chinese medicine chart, or each organ system in the Chinese medicine chart has its own predominant emotion. And for the liver, it is anger. So if the child perhaps did not have healthy boundaries or a way to say no, or was just so engulfed by whoever they were grown with or raised with, often they don't have the ability to say no because they feel like they may not get love. And then anger is usually the result when there's no boundaries. So there will be a lot of anger or rage in this child taken up until adult, because that's how it is. This is the subconscious program. We consciously don't know that it's there until we dig deep. And so as an adult, if there's boundaries being overrode or feeling engulfed at work, can't say no, that will result in an anger state, an anger towards your employer, an anger towards your employees, and an anger towards your workmates, an anger in the household, an anger with your partner or your kids because they ask too much and you don't have the voice to say no. And so when those childhood wounds, whatever the wounds are, take place and we don't have the infrastructure within us to have boundaries, to use our voice, to have clear communication, to know that whatever we state is our boundary and we still will get love from ourselves, we won't say it, and then oftentimes anger is a result, and that can affect the liver. So when there is big anger in the system and it's unexpressed, there can be a variety of different liver issues, and they manifest in many different ways. So yes, there could be metabolism issues, but underneath the root of that is the anger and the inability to kind of process it because of childhood wounding. There could be metabolism issues. There could be, for women, hormone issues is hugely linked to the liver. When the body is not able to detonate the excess estrogens, progesterones, hormones that flow through our body, there are big issues. There can be choppy flow. There can be heavy like faucet-like flow. There can be heavy clots. There can be stringy clots. There can be scanty flow, meaning the liver that is so contracted that it can't even release the flow of blood. There could be fertility issues. There's so many issues linked to emotions, the soul, and anger with our female hormonal system. And if we don't have the infrastructure within us that is erected in order to feel the anger, let it actually process through, and then it can release, and there's no story attached to it. That's the difference. So we don't have the infrastructure to actually feel the emotions, and when we don't have the infrastructure to feel the emotions, we will get symptoms. So yes, you can do a liver detox. Yes, you can do a liver herbs. Yes, you can have a clean diet. But if there is no, and that's all part of it. So that's all part of keeping the liver clean and keeping the soul on its evolved path, which I'll get to. But if there's no way to allow these emotions to come to surface in a safe manner, in a manner that feels safe within our own selves, and that those emotions aren't dumped onto somebody else and projected onto them, like they made me feel like this, they asked too much and now I'm mad at them. It's really something that we have to learn to be able to hold within ourselves, and if we don't have that infrastructure, there will be symptoms. And very often those symptoms will never go away. They can be nicely treated, but they'll never go away until those underlying emotions are felt. So if there's anger, that is a big key kind of a feedback or red flag that there is liver at the root of a lot of the symptoms. An inability to even get toxins out, so they're dumped into muscles, extreme fatigue, heaviness, headaches, migraines. It all points to nausea. bitter taste, acid reflux, all of those can point to signs that the liver is out of balance. And when the liver is out of balance, like I said, yes, we have to correct the nutritional stuff, lifestyle stuff, but the emotions are usually at the root, and we have to learn to process the anger. So that is the key emotion of our liver, but underneath even the anger is the soul, the state of the soul, the journey of the soul. So I believe that everyone comes in here with the soul imprint and a journey, and our soul is pure. But these stories and these masks are accumulated throughout life, and we think that that's our journey, but those are all illusions that we created in order to try and get love as kids. So our journey here on this life is to start to shed these masks and just let this soul breathe, and let this soul oscillate from the eyes to the liver all day and night, and let the soul express its pure suppression. So children really are the closest to having pure, unobstructed, unsuppressed souls. But as they grow and in the family structure, this is not at all any heat or judgment against parents, because parents don't know what this little soul comes into, and you could be the most picture perfect parents and the soul still has its lessons to learn here, and you could be like the absolute most quote unquote nightmare parents, and the soul could be like, this is, I'm so secure in who I am, and it wasn't really an impact on the child. So it's not about blaming the family unit, but the family unit gets us insight as to what may be going on. So looking back into childhood and peeling those layers really is part of healing the liver. It's about getting to the most purest, authentic soul expression that we can have. And the clearing of the soul also, yes, requires healthy nutrition. So, when people eat and they feel bloated and foggy, and then they need, sugar to get a little boost because 3 p.m. is too hard. Then they need coffee when they get home because their life is just hectic, go sprint when they get home. And then after the hectic evening sprint, they need some alcohol to wind down because the day was so stressful that they need a little bit of a treat or a reward for such a stressful day, and it could be half a bottle, it could be a couple of glasses of wine at night, but that's the treat to unwind. And then sleep is disrupted because alcohol can absolutely disrupt the liver and sleep, and so there could be sleeping pills in the mix, and in the morning, waking up with a headache, not feeling so great, and then there could be some medications in the mix, and that whole looped cycle, day in, day out, is a horrific attack on the liver and the expression of the pure soul. So when we want to express the pure soul, we have to start to look in towards diet. And I don't mean eating like salads 24/7, never having a tater tot, as everyone has watched my Facebook lives. I talk about tater tots a lot because I love them. But it's not about never having a tater tot. It's not about never having a glass of wine. It's about using all those things as a means to cope with life, because that underlying wounding has never been addressed, and that's the way we just get by, and that is a constraint on our soul's expression. Does that make sense to everyone? So first steps could be so easy. It could be cleaning up sleep routine. Instead of having the wine at night, your new go-to is maybe a walk at night, if that's safe. If you have little kids, maybe your partner can stay with the kids, or a trusted neighbor. So Rubina says yes. Okay, good. I'm glad it's making sense, because I'm still in like La La Land of Okanagan Lake, or whatever lake we were on. I don't even know. So I'm just kind of totally free-flowing. Donna says yes. Okay, good. Good. So it's yes, you clean up your sleep routine, and instead of having wine at night, if you can get a partner to watch your kids for 20 minutes and you just do a quick walk It could be a quick walk even to Starbucks to get a chamomile tea, but that disconnect from the household evening events will set the new state of your nervous system and allow for that unwinding rather than the alcohol, which is a need at that point in order to be your treat and reward for the day. So you could do a 20-minute walk, you know, if you have your husband or partner or wife to watch the kids, or maybe a trusted neighbor just for 20 minutes, you know, you fully trust this person and they can just watch your kids for a few moments and you get out and come back. That is a new reward. I don't care if it's raining and all you did is sit in the backyard, it's perfect, and that is a new reward. And then start to change your sleep routine. Try to get into bed, you know, between 10 and 11. Definitely before midnight. You want to get those hours between 10 to 12, because that really is the times that helps the liver and the gallbladder. You want to get to sleep. Try to start deep quality sleep, waking up at the same time every morning. And then, you know, that could be one habit that you implement that starts to house the soul, that starts to help the soul reveal itself, the true, authentic message and expression of the soul. So the soul could be in this job day in, day out, but there's so much chaos that the soul's journey is not realized, that, you know, the true passion is maybe to change professions altogether and to go into something completely different, but those messages of the soul aren't heard because the day-to-day life is so chaotic. So starting to organize your day-to-day habits and intentions and what goes into your body can start to clean these things out so that the little expressions of the soul and the whispers get louder and louder. I would start with this most simplest is sleep has to be addressed. So you have to make efficient sleep routines. I'll write that down in the little write-up. I would say maybe even efficient hydration. So make sure that your hydration is on point. You know, oftentimes when we're running around in the web of our day, and then there's the alcohol as the rewards, the coffee to keep awake, the sugars to keep awake. This is a very dehydrated body, and that could be very, very hard on the liver. Now there's a perfect balance point. I think in North America we're taught to drink way more water than perhaps we might need. So finding your perfect balance point of water and hydration. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a water bottle strapped to your hip 24/7, but there's like, you know, 2-3 glasses in the morning intentionally that you sip throughout the day, not slammed back. You know, if you hate water, you're just trying to get it over with. That's not the intention. It's just to sip throughout the day, and in the evening you have that as well. So that sipping of the water and that hydration really, really helps the liver. Then I would say start to look towards nutrition. So nutrition is a bigger beast, but you have to have more energy in order to change your nutrition. It really does take time and dedication. Starting to eat more from the ground, or if the food came like that, that's the easiest way to figure out what a whole food is. So if it comes in a box, chances are it's not a whole food. So, you know, it could be something like rice is a whole food, flattened oats are a whole food, versus, you know, a granola bar that's packaged. That's not a whole food. That has a lot of syrups added to it, that has sugars added to it, oils added to it, processed nuts added to it, other flours that are, you know, extruded grains that are added to it. So oatmeal over a granola bar, you know, things like that. Anything that has a barcode is probably not a whole food. So starting to switch to more of a whole foods diet, whole food grains, veggies, salads, you know, don't have to be the only thing that you eat, but just steamed veggies. It could be a variety of different veggies, one that you try different every week, and add that into the mix. And it doesn't have to be your everyday veggie, but once a week you try a new veggie. The easiest thing that they say for veggies is eat the color of the rainbow, so try a different color every week. Barcode, yeah, that's perfect. That's what Christy says. It's true. The easiest way to figure out what's a whole food and not is often if it has a barcode and it's in a box, it's not a whole food. You know, if it comes like from the earth like that, like rice or oats, its chances are it's more closer to a whole food. And still, that's debatable because our world is very, very processed, but it's closer than a granola bar and having oats. It's a totally different ball game and what your body can absorb. And start to try to eat the rainbow. And then for proteins, if you're more vegetarian based, choose a variety of different beans, nuts, legumes. If you do still eat eggs and animal products, try to choose you know, grass-fed, pastured. And so if that means you're eating less than you could because of price point, then you've decreased your meat for a little bit, and you're eating far less, rather than like, I got a whole deal on a stack of whatever because it was on sale, and then that's your go-to. Rather than having that, you're having more quality and less quantity, and then that quantity will go way farther than a ton of poorly processed meats. So that makes a huge difference in your liver. What the animal eats, we eat. So it is very important to know what the animal eats. And all of that affects how our gut responds. It affects our acid reflux, our digestion. Do we feel heavy? Do we feel light? Is there even a bowel movement? So oftentimes when there's liver constraint, there's no bowel movement. And I've heard of patients having no bowel movement for 6 days, and there was no urgency, so they thought that's totally fine. When in actuality, the definition of constipation is less than one bowel movement per meal. So animals theoretically have a bowel movement after each meal, and we should be the same. But for me, constipation, I would define it as anything less than one bowel movement per day. And it should be well formed, easy to pass, complete, not broken. And often that's not the case, and that's a total liver constraint. So when the bowels are, the digestion is good, the head is clear, we're not full of like toxic oils and sugars just to keep up with the day, our thinking becomes a lot clearer. We're sharper, we're more present. You can feel you're more in your body, your eyes are sharper, your vision of what you're seeing is sharper. You can see, you're attentive to what's going on around you. So your soul is starting to come online. You're starting to check in and connect to the soul, versus all of this cloud of what you were in before. When you have a complete bowel movement, it changes how a person feels completely. They feel like a totally different sense of wellness, lightness, the sense of vigor to attack the day, to, you know, it's not as difficult, it's not as congested, their emotions aren't as congested, they're feeling this flow of life. When there's constipation, it is a big mirror for not being able to let a lot go, and the liver is often housing that. And when there is a complete bowel movement, a person is in just a total different sense of clarity. They have this clarity of mind, crisp, clear vision, and it's a totally different ball game. So when all that stuff starts to become clear, that eye time of holding the hun, of holding the liver, of holding the soul, becomes way more connected to the soul, versus all this other stuff that we're trying to deal with throughout the day, because of disconnect from our emotions, because of being totally dehydrated, because of poor sleep, and because of horrific nutrition also. So the hun in the daytime is much more clear. Our soul whispers of what we want to do and don't want to do in our life start to come on board, and we can listen to it, and we can start to act on it. Perhaps like even as a child, this child was, being heavily encouraged to do something in the sciences for school when they're very, very artsy. And if that sciences was forced upon them, it has an effect on their liver. It has an effect on their soul, a disconnect from what their soul essence really wants, and that those whispers are a little bit further away. So as soon as we start to connect and clear the clutter, we can connect to the soul and online, and the hun, the soul in the eyes and the waking hours can hear what's going on. And then when we sleep, the dream state is deep quality sleep. We're sleeping throughout the night without waking. Oftentimes, if there's liver issues, without question, a patient will always share that between 2 and 3 they wake up. Oh, I don't even realize it. I don't even set my alarm. Every time, every morning, I look over, check my watch, check my phone, and it's 2:12 a.m. every single day without fail. Well, between 1 to 3, sorry, I said 2, between 1 to 3 a.m. in the liver organ clocks for Chinese medicine, so in the organ clocks for Chinese medicine, that's liver time. So there's something, again, feedback from the body that there's a liver issue. And so as we start to clean these points up, the sleep should become deeper. The hun that's housed in the liver at night is able to process dreams. We're able to process our emotions. We're able to organize the day. And in the morning, you're fresh and clear, and you start your day totally anew. Then the totally anew I use as analogous to walking around with your phone and you have like 50 browsers open of different websites, and it's just leaking stuff all over the place. You're leaking data everywhere, and then within a couple of weeks before the billing cycle is over, you've hit your max capacity and you're starting to pay out of pocket because you just leaked out of all your data. That's the same as open tabs in our brain and in our psyche and in our body, in our liver. So we want to clean everything up by sleep, by our daytime, and in the morning you're opening fresh, and then you're present in that day. So that hun now moves, that clean hun now moves to the eyes, and you're ready to attack that day with ease and flow and peace. Not even attack, it's just like it's a natural unfolding. So the processing that happens in the daytime also will give you more whispers of what your soul truly wants. And when we listen to it, it is nothing but helpful for the liver and the soul of our body, the hun. So it's really about listening to that deeper architecture, and that is a seriously scary thing to do when we've never been taught how to do it. But processing and actually feeling our emotions is a whole topic on its own, and it is so important, and it has like deep, profound healing effects. So what often happens is there could be like some agitation throughout the week, the emotion, something going on is about to come up. Then there could be pain, old wounds that you've had in the past, and that starts to come up. And that's usually where people stop, because they can't feel this pain. So they'll either go, dump it on somebody because they can't handle their pain, or they'll numb it down with either food, wine, medication, whatever it is. Sometimes it can be over-exercise, but that wounding never got to the next level where it just wants to express. So the wounding here, when it has all the stories attached to it, is not the stories aren't real, it's just, that's what we do. And if you let it spiral up, it just wants to release emotions, and it could be one huge day of crying, and then boom, it's gone. So that 2-week process of the emotion coming to the surface is the most healing thing, and we don't collapse as the emotion comes up, because there's actually no story attached to it. There's nothing to heal. There's nothing to run to somebody to fix. And this is the point when we get to hear, when there's all these stories attached to this emotion coming to the surface, we have to run to whoever and help us process it, because we just can't feel that pain. Whereas if we had that architecture to just sit and hold that pain, the next level would be just the release. Whether it's crying, whether it's journaling, whether it's punching into a pillow and doing primal screams, all of that stuff gets that emotion out, and there's no story attached to it, and all it had to do is just work its way out like a corkscrew, and it's done. But most of us don't do that. We stop at this level. We run to our naturopath, run to our chiropractor, run to our doctor, run to our therapist, and all those things are needed, but it keeps us in this loop here where it's never actually expressed, and we can't move out of it. So that is a little bit of a hint of how to tap into the liver and the soul of our essence, which is housed in the liver, which oscillates between the eyes and the liver, and the emotion of anger as it's unprocessed. Can really have huge health ramifications. So many symptoms related to the liver. So does anyone have any questions? Does that make sense? It's really fascinating. And sometimes it works backwards when you start to do the liver herbs and the cleansing and stuff. That's really what brings out the emotions. So yeah, it works all together. Whether you start to recognize the emotions first and then clean up your diet, or the cleaning up of the diet is really what prompted the emotions to start to become clear. Does anyone have any questions about that? Anything liver emotions related? I have a few moments for questions. Anything? I do have, since nutrition is so important, I do have a program that I was working on all last year. It was a program that we used to run in the clinic as a nutrition program, and then I just turned it into my first online program. It's called Master Your Metabolism, and the whole thing is just an entire 6-month program with online videos and workbooks and tutorials to teach you how to tune into your personal metabolic needs and what your body needs. And each module, there's 12 modules, each module is, without saying it, is a way to treat your liver. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know. I can send you out the link, and I can also link it below in the comments to the link to this program. Master Your Metabolism is something that I used to, it was a different name, but it used to be run through the clinic, but now it's through a separate entity that Brio is hosting. So it's a company called Healthy Habit, and that's my company that hosts this online program, and if anyone's interested, it's pretty awesome. Donna says, awesome topic. The liver is so fascinating. The liver is so fascinating. There is so much more we could go into for the depth of the liver, and it's just endless. And it really is like the ultimate essence of the liver is the alchemist. So turning coal to gold. And so Donna says the course was fantastic. She highly recommended it. So Donna went through our pilot program for the Master Your Metabolism course, and she was awesome. Your knowledge is power, says Rubina. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. It's these topics that we come up with. It's such a prompt for me too to kind of look back, and you can't remember everything, but when we are dedicated each month to a different topic, it really kind of gets you to be creative and dig into stuff that you really resonated, or I really resonated with when I was studying, and may not talk about every single day. So it's so fun for me to share it too. So I love that. Thank you, Donna. I love that you have tuned in. I love when you guys tune in. It's really like so fun for me to interact. If you have a question on the liver topic, I'm happy to answer, and even if it's some random topic question, I can try to answer just for another moment or two. Let me know. To also tune in, I think my masterclass is this Saturday at 1 p.m. They were supposed to be at noon, but just keep an eye out for 1 p.m. And I'm doing a 1-hour masterclass on liver herbs. So we just started to, do kids have liver issues? Kids can have liver issues. Yes, that is the best time to treat. Most of the times when kids come in, when I treat kids, it's only a few organ systems that I treat. I usually treat the liver, sometimes nervous system, sometimes gut, but it's far less complex than when I treat adults, which is an awesome question. So not in a Western sense. It's not like if you took them in for an ultrasound or if you got blood tests, their enzymes wouldn't be off. I'm talking about the energy flow of the liver and the vague symptoms linked to improper energy flow of the liver, which is very much an alternative point of view of health, because the Western medical doctor, the child's liver would be absolute perfection, and it is perfection. We're just talking about flow of the liver to avoid symptoms, in the form of like, could be asthma, it could be eczema, it could be skin issues are big. If the child is on the edge of puberty, and making sure that they're not having tons of acne, making sure that their bowel movements are every day, things like that. Even easing the transition to puberty, so making that their cycle regular, or transition to whatever hormonal changes it is a little bit more ease to it. That's all liver. So especially for young girls, it's a toughie, because they're dealing with a lot, and these emotions of the liver or the hormones can make you feel like it's real, but when the liver is flowing properly, it kind of detonates those emotions, because the highs and lows of the hormones are not so sweeping, if that makes sense. So yes, kids definitely have alternative liver flows, and that's what we want to treat. Yes, so my topic for Saturday for the masterclass is bitter herbs, and I love this. I kind of came up with this combination of liver tinctures, which I don't use a lot of tinctures in the practice, but we're going to start to carry a lot of one tincture. This one formula I kind of came up with at school in naturopathic medicine, and it's so good. So as a pre-meal bitter to start the liver, to start the stomach acid, and it's a game changer for liver flow. So I really encourage you guys to tune into that. It will be on Saturday at 1 p.m. Bring your questions, and I think we will actually have the bitters in the office too at some point in the very near future, like 1 or 2 weeks. So yeah, we'll have them there too if you guys want it. But if we don't have it in time, I can recommend other places to get it, and I'll give you that heads up too. So if there's any other questions, let me know. Rubina says that makes sense about the kids. It's nothing to do with the medical doctor would say they're perfect, and they are. We're just optimizing health. It's always about optimizing, and I think it's a good thing to do to get out of health is looking at what's wrong. Look at our symptoms as feedback. Look at it as red flags. Look at it as something that we're not addressing. There's the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual realm, and sometimes if 3 of those we're not addressing, there'll be a symptom. It has to come out somewhere. So that's what we're looking at. All right, everyone, any last questions? I'm happy to answer. If not, I will sign off for today. It's super hot. I hope you guys are enjoying the sun. That vitamin D is super healing. And even just touching the ground with your feet, this is a perfect time. That is so healing for your liver, actually. So healing. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you know anyone who might benefit from this or just find it of interest, feel free to share. And I will, as we log off, write up a little blurb on this too, so you can check out our blog on our website.